Rudy, how good was that entrance?
Beautiful.
All right.
Can I get that? Can I get that to use?
No.
Hunter, can I get that?
That's
I want to play that every time before I come into a room. Just have that play on like a screen.
Hunter, I want it on my show.
Oh, listen, you pay the big bucks. We can help you out. Guys, you know how it is today. It's going to be true or not. We got a lot to go over. But the first thing I want to talk about, as a household full of men that were raised in an action movie exclusive household, I just watched a new movie yesterday, and I need to talk to you guys about it. There's two things I need to encounter with you guys. Also, welcome Rudy to the show. He's a member of the family. He's my brother's brother-in-law, and he's one of these kind of people that probably knows the inside scoop more than my dad even on some of these things, potentially about the cave people. But I'm going to present the screen right now. Have any of you guys watched this new movie called Warfare?
No.
No. I saw that yesterday. I was perusing. And
you guys don't even know about it. Okay, so if I'm going to just say this, if you guys had to pick in the like Middle Eastern wars during like Iraq, Iran, all those kind of wars that we had in the past like 30 to 40 years, if you had to pick one movie to be like, this is the movie that is the most best one that shows it off, what would you say? Let's see what kind of taste we are, if we're aligned, guys.
First Gulf War or like the second?
And like I'm saying, like in the last 40 years.
I mean, but which war? Desert Storm or the new one?
Desert Storm? Doesn't matter. I'm just saying, what's the one that best, if you think like, oh, wars in the Middle East, this is the movie I think of.
Three Kings.
The Hurt Locker.
The Hurt Locker? Okay, good. You said Three Kings. That one's really good. Garrett, what's yours? Let's come on, Garrett.
I'll go with like American Sniper. I would have said Hurt Locker probably, but he took it.
Jarhead is also up there.
Oh, yeah, Jarhead.
My choice was Black Hawk Down.
I was going to say that.
Okay, that's Africa.
That's technically out of the Middle East, but
oh, sorry. Well, whatever. It's that era. It's that era. It's that kind of scenes, that kind of era. Yeah. Okay. But it kind of gets that feel. Sorry. So, what would you guys give that on a scale of like 1 to 10 as far as war movies go?
9.
Yeah, they're all like 8, 9. Yeah.
Okay, so I spent an hour and a half of my life last night watching this new Warfare movie. Guess what it got on Rotten Tomatoes?
97.
93, which is the same as 97 in my book. If you decide to let a movie reach the 90s, it's got to be amazing. It's got to be. By the way, I'm sorry to ruin your guys' day if you were planning on watching this thing. It's a fucking dud. It's a dud. It's just one scene for 90 minutes.
So why did it do so well on Rotten Tomatoes?
I just think nowadays, okay, by the way, 76 for this.
Oh, that's a very bogus score. That's what I'm
saying. I think nowadays, Warfare 11 out of 10. James English, shut your face, dude. You don't know anything about movies. Sorry, that's a guy in the notes. You're welcome to say as much rude shit as you want, Rudy. These people are here to get humiliated. But I don't get it. Like, I swear to God, movies are so bad these days. If there's anything beyond like a 3 out of 10, they assume that it's a 9. But that being said, there's also a new Popeye movie.
It's big Rotten Tomatoes is the culprit here.
Yeah, of course it is.
As always. Yeah.
Wait. Hold on.
Curated.
This Popeye the Sailor Man?
This is a Popeye movie. This is
Popeye the Slayer Man.
I know. So just imagine Popeye in a movie, but he's just a total asshole and kills everybody. Of course,
he's an old man. He's a mass murderer?
Did he just finish before he kills
everyone?
Look
at this. Look
come on. I don't need this.
It's not the movie we need, but it's the movie we deserve.
Okay, here's a question.
Popeye had been on antidepressants the whole time, then all of a sudden his prescription ran out, and now he's just
Who played Popeye in the famous movie?
Robin Williams.
Correct.
This is a very different version of Robin Williams.
Oh, this is so disturbing. Jeez.
I think that they are saying that the spinach was contaminated and he lost his mind.
Oh God.
Yeah.
This is now going to be haunting my brain for months.
I'm just going to say to you guys, James English, you got to find a new hobby besides rating movies. This new Warfare movie sucked ass.
Why does it say mystery?
Does it says mystery? Is it
action /war/mystery?
There's no mystery about it other than the fact of whether or not they're going to die. And you're wondering the whole time because it's a bad situation, but it's not bad enough. Like, you remember Black Hawk Down? There's just constant bullets. There's helicopters crashing all the time.
Yes.
You're like, fucked.
I actually just watched it last week.
Only one bad thing really happens during this movie. Okay. So, guys, you know the deal. I come up with a list of things that I see on the internet that I'm just completely perplexed by. And usually it started out by myself sending it to my dad. Then all of a sudden, Garrett kind of got into it. Now Rudy will be another color commentator to help us figure some things out. And the first thing I want to start out with is, well, that one's going to be really fun. Oh, this one's great. Did you research this one at all, Dad? Supposedly the lead singer from Blink-182, Mark Hoppus, ended up having, like, so they would travel around the world and do concerts. And part of the gigs that they would do is they would donate their time to the United States military. And he ended up having dinner with a couple of generals, and they could not find out where Saddam Hussein was. And basically, they were, at the time, Saddam Hussein was like doing these really ghetto podcasts from his cave and live streaming it to everybody around the world. He supposedly, this is in September of, I don't know, like 2000 something. And they found him by December using this business plan where they decided to, at the same time, every single night, fly over the areas that he was in a grid until they got the, basically the signal and capture it. And they were able to find him and zero in on him.
True.
True?
I think it's true. I knew about this
Garrett?
one.
I actually just heard about this recently as well. That doesn't mean it's true, but I heard about it.
I mean, listen.
It's false.
What?
I did extensive research on this. There's nothing to prove it. Also, if you listen to what this guy says, battles, and when a bunch of the things that he says that are military terms, they aren't, he was on this boat. Some of those things don't even exist. Those meetings he was in, some of the stuff he's talking about don't exist.
Look, Tom DeLonge has meetings with the government about UFOs all the time. Those guys were just on a tour.
I'm not arguing that they don't meet. I'm just saying that the idea that you're going to triangulate on some guy's radio.
So wait, you're on board with the meetings happened. Mark Hoppus was meeting with the government. You're okay with that?
Rudy, I like the angle you're taking here.
The first premise that I would say probably didn't happen would be he had a meeting with them.
Evidence. Listen, one of the things on this show is I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying there's no evidence to prove that it's right. It doesn't mean that
we got him. We got Saddam.
We did, Dad.
No.
Within a short period of time, they said that they had this conversation in September. They had him caught by December. I'm just going to throw this out there.
No.
What are we all voting? I'm voting true.
Well, I know you're voting it, but the fact that you voted, how does that make it so?
I just think it is based off of what we have here. But let me get to the one that I really wanted to talk to you guys about. Okay. This is about the red cave people. Now, I've heard about this in multiple situations that supposedly there were a species of giants that traveled around the world and existed at one period of time, and they were considered like the red giants because they had red hair, really, really white skin. This is the recollection of a guy who basically discovered the caves and was talking to the military about it and saying that they had to take his body away on a pallet. Rudy, did you ever hear anything about this? Garrett, did you hear anything about this?
Yes. They were cannibals too, they think.
Yeah.
It sounds like someone saw an episode of the Thundercats and got mixed up.
Here's the answer. The stories of giant red-haired Native Americans, particularly around Lovelock Cave in Nevada, are largely based on legends and oral traditions rather than any scientific evidence. As a matter of fact, there is no scientific evidence to show that they existed at all.
Ooh, counterpoint.
You ever hear anything about like how the Smithsonian is basically this master vault for a lot of the like rarest things in the entire artifacts in the entire world that are maybe covering up a lot of things that are going on? Anybody hear that?
Isn't that like the premise of Indiana Jones's findings? like that room where all the boxes are.
Yeah,
That's the end of
basically.
that's the end of the
The
first
first
movie.
half of what you said is true, Hunter. The second half is not.
All right, so we're not gonna believe these cave things are true.
Listen,
I don't think they're real. I think
scientists say that they do not exist and that they are folklore.
Supposedly there used to be a museum on Catalina Island that had a lot of giant artifacts, like artifacts of giants, not just large things in general. And so people started to figure it out, and then all of a sudden they took it all apart and took it to the Smithsonian. I'm just saying. Could be a possibility.
You are just saying, yes.
All right. Let me get to another really good one. I want to have a little bit of a flow to this thing. Ooh. This one's kind of back on the tune about war. This guy interviewed with Tucker Carlson, and this guy supposedly, I bought the book, but then all of a sudden the book disappeared. Swear to God, I'll buy it again. This guy named Smedley Butler, who is considered the most awarded Marine in history, wrote a book called War is a Racket. And his opinion is largely that he was sent around the world as basically kind of like a loan shark or a bookie, and was paid to travel around the world and just beat people up to basically do all of the United States bidding to take over entities like oil and things like that. Have you ever guys read this book or heard anything about it?
I've heard of the book. That book actually exists and was very popular.
Yeah, I think
Opinions on it?
What's the true or not?
But it's not true.
Yeah,
You don't think this is true, what he's saying?
What he's saying is not true. He wrote the book. He was much decorated. Everything up to whether the book was accurate, all that is true.
Wait, hold on. What part of it is not accurate?
What he said in the book, which was that this was some sort of military industrial complex, that they were sending him around to do these things so that the United States or rich people could make money.
I mean, I don't. Isn't that like just a perspective on war?
Yes, but I think what he is saying, he was the catalyst of all this. Not that it happened.
His claim is that it was explicitly instructed to do it for these.
Right. All of it happened because he was there doing it.
I mean, he was Mr. Billy Badass. He was Mr. Billy Badass. He was the most badass, and he supposedly did.
All true. All true.
Isn't that a pretty bad sign when you're like, your number one guy is writing a book about how your United States is just a bunch of crooks using their military power?
People lose their minds all the time.
Yeah, he may think
that's the thing about all these shows that we've got here. People have psychic breaks, so they can be normal. They can do a lot of great things, and at some point, their brains get broken. This guy may have had PSD. Who knows what this happened to the guys in the war? He may have had half his head blown off. But
I would suggest anybody who is watching this show right now, it's only like a 70-page book, so I would buy it. I'm going to buy it again. War is a Racket.
Of course, a book about how every war was orchestrated by this one guy is 70 pages. How could you possibly get 100 pages of every war ever being started?
I'm also of the opinion that most books should be under 100 pages.
That's fine, but this book in particular about every war since World War I should probably be at least 110.
I think this guy is writing from the perspective of what he did, but
how many pictures are in the book?
Okay, hang on.
70%. 70 pages.
Okay, Hunter. The guy interviewing is a known insane idiot, Tucker Carlson.
I don't know if you can necessarily say that. Tucker Carlson, I'm not saying everything that he does is great, but Tucker Carlson was the top of the top up until a couple of years ago.
But he's an idiot.
That means that the United States is pumped full of idiots, though. If he has
any comments, I want to hear Tucker.
Well, now you got Kyle upset. He said, "How is Tucker Carlson a known idiot?" What's your evidence behind that?
Have you ever watched his interviews? How many people have spent 3 or 4 hours actually watching Tucker Carlson talk to people? He is an absolute idiot. Listen, was he famous? He still is famous because he's controversial. But I want to see the comments. Does anybody here think that Tucker Carlson has a high IQ?
I think he's definitely smart.
He laughs like a maniac.
I do really think that he's smart. Also, Dad, think about Alex Jones. Alex Jones was literally cooked for years. He did some really stupid stuff. I'm not denouncing it at all. Garrett, do you remember that conversation we had on your balcony in the West Village with Patrick when they were literally about to ban him from YouTube? And we were having an argument whether or not that was something that was responsible or not on behalf of YouTube. And I thought it was not responsible, but that's neither here nor there. But that guy was right about a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Alex Jones. It was freakish how much he was right about. It was crazy. And a lot of people would point at him and be like, that guy's an idiot. Because he was like, he's partially a snake oil salesman for views, but also.
I don't think he was an idiot. I think he was very smart and very clever.
But you think Tucker Carlson's an idiot?
Tucker Carlson thinks that spiritual beings warned us about 9/11 through Alex Jones.
I'm not going to lie. We don't know. I mean, it could be true. Okay, this is something total opposite person. Most people would consider Bill Gates to be an absolute genius, but is he really a crook? So this guy right here is now on some kind of panel talking about how I think either 70 or 90% of the money that flows into the WHO comes from Bill Gates Foundation, which is considered to be illegal. If you have some kind of entity like that, you're not allowed to take funds from, I guess, businesses that could be swaying your decisions.
This is what I love about these clips.
Okay.
He gives 80% of the money given to the WHO by individuals. The money the WHO gets is from governments. So does Gates give 80%? Right, but that could only be 5% of the total. And yes, Gates influences what they do. It's what's known as restricted donorship. I give you money and say, I want you to use this to investigate why people get malaria. Now, the WHO can turn him down, so they're not bound to take it. But the fact that he gives 80% of the private money to the WHO is a meaningless statistic because virtually all that money comes from the country. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump just said, next year you get a check for zero. He just pulled us completely out.
I think that's probably the right decision. You can't own vaccine companies and then also pay the head of the health organization globally to be making decisions based off of vaccines.
What do you mean? I mean, they were right about the fact that they needed COVID vaccines, and they did what they. You don't think the COVID vaccines worked? No. So you don't think?
I just think that.
I don't think so either.
We could do a whole podcast about this. We probably should not start this right now. But the point being, just specifically directed at this one acute piece of this. Is it okay? Is it true or not that this guy is basically funding through whatever way he wants to the WHO in potentially a way that could be swaying their decision making?
No, the WHO. Look, Gates gives them what's called restricted funds. He says, "I want you to use this to spread the word about the fact that these are the things that you can do to prevent malaria." The WHO can say no, or they can say yes. Other than what the money is directed for, Gates doesn't tell them exactly what to do. He says, this is what I want you to use the money for.
It seems suspect, but okay. Okay.
It's not 80% of their money. It's like this much of their money.
We'll see.
Why is he buying up American farmland?
I mean, that could be totally separate.
Hold on. Wait, did you guys see? Did I get to you the piece that there's these billionaires that are buying up Northern California? This is good. This is good right here. There's this guy who used to be part of Goldman Sachs who is now coming into Northern California with some kind of gigantic group is like his, he's the head of it. And they're buying up a lot of land in Northern California to create some kind of self-sustained city. Dad, did you look into this at all?
We're going to do it now. Elon Musk just built his own city in Texas.
Well, tech billionaires are waging a hostile war. Supposedly, they're suing a lot of the farmers because the farmers don't want to sell, so they're suing them for collusion, things like that. This is creepy. I'm not going to lie. We should all get a farm.
All right,
What?
so this is from Business Insider, which I think is a very good source. Billionaire group behind buying Silicon Valley City says it's done buying up land. The company now owns a property the size of Beaumont, Texas. So they definitely bought it.
California forever.
2003.
California forever. Now that's creepy. This is kind of in line with like the whole top secret bunker thing. So you guys are saying this was true?
There's reason for them to say why they bought it.
Well, supposedly
they spent more than the market rate, so there's some reason that they were super interested in this.
Okay, this might be in line with land buying. This is kind of interesting. Supposedly, when they were saving Yellowstone, they supposedly were about to turn Yellowstone into like one of the biggest mineral mining places on the country. And some painter supposedly showed up to Congress and showed them a version of a painting and was like, we can't, of a waterfall specifically, and was like, we can't destroy this. And that was the day that they created the national parks from that point forward.
Okay.
Yeah, no, maybe so.
The National Park Service was founded by Theodore Roosevelt.
But do you think it had anything to do with this painting story that I'm talking about?
No.
Fuck.
I mean, there could have been a painting involved. I mean, the guy loved nature.
Yeah, sure.
He loved nature for a lot of reasons.
All right. Total curveball.
It was Woodrow Wilson.
Correlation.
Go ahead.
Okay.
It might be causation and not correlation, not causation. Like the picture could exist and also he started it.
Okay, this is a total curveball for you guys. I did not know this. Did you guys know why James Bond has his martini shaken, not stirred?
Yes.
Garrett?
I do not know.
Rudy?
Don't know.
I do.
All right, Dad, what do you got?
That's not supposedly. When you make a martini that way, most of the water goes to the top. So if you want to not get drunk, this is stupid. Well, if you buy a martini, why would you not want to get drunk? But what you're doing is the first like 15% of what you drink is mostly water. So the theory is the reason that James Bond did this is so that he was always ready because he was never drunk. It was just the belief he was drunk because he was drinking martinis. But it's true. You shake a martini. Cool. It's true.
I feel like that just means you didn't shake hard enough.
Well, I get it. It's kind of like oil and water. Like it should separate.
I will point out that at some point, Daniel Craig switches heavily towards pure liquor drinking. But, you know, he's pretty experienced at that point.
I think Daniel Craig was supposed to be the changeover into a more badass version. All right.
Are you getting a new one soon?
I don't know.
They killed him in the last one, right? Didn't he just get like blown up by missiles at the end?
Yes.
I was pretty confused. I was like, why bother killing off James Bond? It's like a very weird decision. Because it didn't seem like they were outs. And like, oh, he didn't really die. It was like a dozen missiles flying at him.
That's true. Okay.
This one right here?
Yeah.
This is freaky. In an unprecedented legal development, an Arizona court has accepted an AI-generated testimony of a deceased victim. His name was Christopher Pelkey, died in 2021 in a road rage accident, appeared in court via AI avatar by his sister Stacey Wales to deliver a victim impact statement during the sentencing of Gabriel Horcayeses. I'm not saying that right. Who was found guilty of his murder. The avatar, which was used Pelkey's likeness and voice, began to identify itself as an AI recreation before addressing the court. So how the hell can you use an AI person to address the court after the fact of being dead? Like, what would it even do?
It has no value. It was ignored.
It gives you like a sense of like who the guy was. I will say, if that's an act, he's kind of smiling. He seems like he's okay with the fact that his human.
He's
self
happy to see
was
justice.
It was just
here.
a victim impact statement. So yeah,
He's like, yet another human gone.
It doesn't matter. It was nice to do, but it had no impact on the judge.
Fuck. Things are going to get weird pretty soon.
They already have.
Yeah.
I know. Ooh, did you guys see this one? I don't know if this is true or not, but it's weird.
I can already tell you this is it just saying that Big Pharma makes pollen?
No. Supposedly,
Just
I don't
more
know.
pollen?
Handful of decades ago, let's say like 5 decades ago, cities started planting almost exclusively male trees instead of female trees to maybe potentially stop the spread of growth of trees. But what that did is it just led this excess of pollen, which created a heightened, level of allergies. And now supposedly Big Pharma are investing in these environmental companies to continue spreading this because they're seeing things like, Claritin Clear literally skyrocket in sales.
I've heard
you're giving them
female trees thing.
Zyrtec.
Well,
Zyrtec.
part of it's probably true scientifically, but the fact that pharma is doing this for some reason to make money that's not true.
I don't think the
think so?
first thing is true either. I don't think that cities. I think for there to be a conspiracy of all local governments, it's like across America, getting together to only plant male trees so pollination could happen to stop spread of other trees. I think you're giving way too much credit to government. I just don't think government's that good to do anything.
All right, this is from a medical journal. There's very little knowledge about the allergenic potential of many common trees and what is known as overgeneralizing from a few studies. So what the journal called Nature is saying is that people are saying this, but there's not enough valid data to say if it's true or not.
So we can't say if it's true or not.
Yeah. This is some bullshit.
Seems skeptical to me, but go ahead.
Big
What
pollen.
are you guys in the mood for?
I like this
Ooh.
one about the fact that there aren't actually doors to block people from going into cockpits.
just they aren't there?
No, they're just saying that they don't. They're just sort of flimsy, regular doors.
Oh, okay, that's like to Alan's point, maybe kind of a little bit believable. Now that we know what's going on at Newark, I think the doors are becoming a concern.
Well, let me go over this one more time. I got to get this from the start.
So what's the claim?
Oh, okay. So this is basically a guy sued the airlines, who's part of the airlines, for not actually having air marshals on the plane that we all thought were protecting us. And that these super fortified doors on the airplanes that we couldn't bust through didn't really exist. Like, this was all just a marketing ploy to make us feel more safe. And you don't think that there's any truth to this at all?
There's no truth to that. There's also no truth. The air marshals aren't put on the planes by the airlines. They're put on by the government.
Well, whatever it may be.
So I'm just saying that both those things aren't true.
Neither of them are true?
Well, I'm sure that they have. Look, the way that they flew those planes into the Pentagon and into the World Trade Centers is because the people were able to break into the doors and kill the pilots. The reason they built these doors is so you can't break in. But the other thing implies that the airlines choose whether there are going to be air marshals on planes, and they don't. The federal government decides if there are going to be air marshals on planes.
When are they going to give up on this really heightened security bullshit at airports? I'm over it.
Not going to happen.
It takes such a long time to get through. There's no technology at this point.
They're mostly worried about people like you.
What would I do?
That's a good question. That's what they're worried about. You don't know the answer to that question.
So the other day I went to a grocery store and we were doing self-checkout, and I didn't realize this at all, but there were cameras above us vertically looking down, and it thought that we had stole something, and it showed us on the screen our hand like moving things from the self-checkout area into the bags, and it had squared out this item in pink as we did it. And then the guy came over and just like went through, but AI is getting so good now that it was able to very quickly pick up on the fact that I had potentially not paid for something. So how can they not just have all these like cameras and like scanners and stuff that we're going through that could potentially just itemize things out and you just stop people? You know,
I'll bet you artificial intelligence replaces TSA agents completely in less than 3 years, that there will not be TSA agents at all.
I am so tired of traveling with supplements. They pull me to the side every single time and search me as if I'm like a massive cocaine dealer. They cut it open. They're like, what is this?
For my meds, and like the ice pack goes off every single time I go through. They got to like pull out all the medication, everything.
The thing with that you're probably wrong about on this is I could believe there are AI replacements for the current security apparatus, but it's like a lot of laws that just stay on the books forever, or structures that stay on the book. It's like you don't want to be the guy that removes TSA agents and then something
took
bad
security
happens.
away.
Yeah, because then there's just no upside for you as a politician to make that decision.
It won't bother Trump at all.
You make a bunch of people a little bit happy getting rid of TSA agents, and then you risk making people very unhappy in doing so. So you just don't do it.
Trump's going to fire all the
shrinks,
war
too.
controllers and all the TSA agents and replace everybody with artificial intelligence.
Trump is the most likely person to do this. I would agree with that.
Save us.
From TSA.
Sorry if anybody was listening is TSA. Okay, how about this? This right here is Ridley Scott's 2010 Robin Hood starring Russell Crowe, and they've changed the entrance to it now. And if you look, obviously this used to have a section of writing, like remember in Star Wars? And then if you fast forward, it will show you the old one where it's a text where it starts out the movie, and it has this quote of basically the inspiration of Robin Hood kind of citing riots and rising up against the government. What would be the point of taking that out?
Didn't happen.
What do you mean didn't happen? You got to have a little bit more depth to it.
This
Okay,
is
so
part of this is visible in the high definition movie of this movie. Okay. There's something called 780. There are different resolutions for movies.
yeah,
And it has to do also with how fast you can download them. This is visible in one resolution of the movie and almost invisible in another one. Which it wasn't taken away. Depending on the resolution of the movie, it's hard to see.
Yeah, I would also say they're giving a lot of credit to the influence of the Russell Crowe version of this movie. Don't want to be like, we're taking that one out. We don't want to rile too many people up.
okay.
I was thinking of the Kevin Costner version the whole time. Now that I realize it's the Russell Crowe, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you change the Kevin Costner version, that could have real ramifications. But
Okay, what about do you guys know, like, you remember in the Disney movies when like the little like fairy would come around? They've taken that out now too. And what is it called? Like the Nelson Mandela effect or something like that, where all of a sudden something changes in time?
Yeah, the Mandela effect. Bearstein Bears.
Yes. Do you guys like they've definitely changed that? Do you guys remember when we were kids, they had the little thing come around?
yeah.
But now
Why would
they
they
scrubbed
change
it.
that?
I don't know, but it's been scrubbed from
Well-
all of the Disney movies.
Garrett, I think maybe fairy has a negative connotation.
Her name is Tinkerbell.
Not like
Well, it wasn't Tinkerbell, but looks like Tinkerbell. But
it wasn't
Okay.
Tinkerbell.
anyway,
So are you
Think
guys, I guess
Tinkerbell?
this is kind of more of a global thing across Disney and some movies. You don't think that they're changing things?
I'm sure they change like logos and stuff. Like people do that all the time. I mean, Disney used to have a different logo itself as a company.
But they're trying to discredit that it ever happened at all.
mean that if you ask the management of the Disney company, they'll say no, we never had a fairy in our movies.
Yep, basically.
Okay, this is wild. Yes, it's a common Mandela effect memory that many people recall Tinkerbell flying over the Disney logo, specifically the one with the blue castle, and even writing the Disney part or dotting the I with her wand. So as soon as you said it, in my head, I pictured her flying over and dotting the I. I'm sorry. I remember that. That's what I thought in my head as soon as you said it before I Googled it.
Well, they haven't
And
removed it from their theme.
Is it gone, or are you saying it never happened?
They're saying it never happened.
See? Okay.
Well, I remember this too. Okay,
The internet is telling me it never happened. And that's immediately what I thought. I was like, oh, she flies over the theater.
You didn't even describe it, and I had the same recollection. Yeah. Okay.
That's
So
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, this is from Reuters. This is from the news service, Reuters.
bought and paid for.
Yeah.
Keep
Disney
going,
said that there's no evidence of Tinkerbell being permanently removed from all of its theme parks or events. Walt Disney and Disney World made no such update. Now that's from Reuters, which is as good a source as you're going to find for news facts.
So Reuters says there isn't a change.
There is not a change, nor did they make any plans for a change, nor did they think about a change.
Alan just Googled it, and he can't find. He's just he's.
This is
It's
what
in
I'm
Reuters.
trying to
Alan's
bring up, guys.
experiencing
This has really opened up a closet that has really been cut too shut.
That's
We need to
actually
figure this out.
that's some like incredible like meta control here. Reuters publishes an article and says we didn't deny it at all,
But
and
that
then you
is-
try to search for it directly.
But that isn't what they said, Garrett. They said that it was not true.
I know. I'm saying that they're saying we never got rid of Tinkerbell, but she's gone. She's gone.
All right, Alan, this one's for you. I don't know if this is true or not, but supposedly the guy who is now the new prime minister of Canada is removing, you're no longer allowed to drive cars from 2000 or before. You're no longer allowed to have tints on windows or lifts on cars.
Never heard of this.
This guy just got in.
Partially true. In Canada, there was a law. I don't know if it still exists against tinted windows. Have they banned cars that were made before 2020 or any other date? No.
2000. Well, this is you don't think this?
Not
So is this
gonna
is this a
stop
fake?
cars from before 2000?
Is this a fake speech then?
Well, I could believe the admission standards need to be brought up to snuff in like a really old car. Like that could be a law.
It's AI.
Oh,
It's
geez.
AI?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Shit! How do
They're
you
on us
know?
again. Oh my god. Can you just tell, Alan?
No, I use the collective power of human knowledge.
If you just
to-
tried that
to
with
my
Tinkerbell and
fingertips.
just struck out.
All right, here we go.
No,
Here we
okay,
go,
so
here we
I have
go.
an update on the Tinkerbell thing.
Hold
Before the
on.
Disney logo said Disney with the castle, Tinkerbell did come when it just said Walt Disney. Then it changed to the castle with the little wink zoom thing. No Tinkerbell on that one.
Dude,
So it just happened. Okay.
You're
Okay.
combining two memories.
The Daily Herald says that they're not banning them. But what's interesting, Alan, when you talk about AI is this is something that only happened 3 days ago. His comments, which were incorrectly attributed just 3 days ago. So that's the things have been already made up since then.
The world moves fast.
It does now.
okay,
I
I
have a
don't
totally
know.
branch thing on that.
I don't
topic.
know
What
if
was
this
it?
is true or not, but this right here is claiming that today we learned that human resource departments never existed before women's entered the workforce. And this is supposedly a study right here showing that basically women entering the workforce in 1970 and then the growth of HR departments since then. Is that
Yeah,
true?
Measured in
True.
what unit? Measured in what units?
I don't know, man. I mean, it says right here,
Well, what's-
cause
what's-
overall members may give a misleading picture due to the population growth. Figure 3.2 shows the percentage of workforce employees in human resources by year from 1968 to 2021, overall and broken down by sex.
So that's percentage, not number, right there. I mean, that could just be a change. Like that.
Yeah.
That could be correlation right there.
Overlay it to economy growth.
Yeah. Well, what
That's
about
probably
all those
similar.
decades that there were women in the workforce before 1970?
I don't know. You were the only person in the workforce by then, so that's why we're kind of poking you for the answer.
Good point.
Well, you've
term
seen
human
Mad Men. There
resource
wasn't
was
HR
coined-
back then.
Yeah, the term
Really?
human resource was coined in the late 19th century.
So old, a bit old.
Yeah.
Oops.
So
Fake.
it is false.
All right, what about this?
Oh, yeah, this is right. Oh, yeah, this makes sense.
Are you saying this is right or no?
No, I'm saying I'm being sarcastic.
Okay, well, all psychiatric disorders are a digestive disorder.
Hmm.
This woman's got a pretty stellar career.
I find the fact she has a black triangle behind her to be immediately
Too much
No, no, no,
Illuminati.
no. I think that's a watermark.
I'm suspicious right out the gate.
Yeah. You don't want to put a pyramid behind you.
It's the same. It's the same logo.
She's just pushing
Empire?
Pepto Bismol. She's like, look, you just take some Pepto, all those visions you're having will go away.
Right. If you take Pepno, you won't be schizophrenic.
Okay, so this is total. You guys are all agreeing this is totally false.
I don't even feel like we need to probe it, but maybe that's unfair to her.
Okay, whatever, guys. I was trying to help you out. Just because I missed the guy, Limp Bizkit right here has a $200 million lawsuit that is going ahead against the music records right now for basically withholding funds.
Correct.
Wait.
True.
Limp Bizkit is suing Universal Music?
Limp Bizkit is allowed to move forward with their October lawsuit against Universal Music Group, which alleges the label deliberately withheld as much as $200 million in royalties. Do you remember Limp Bizkit was the jam when we were in middle school? We were like, just rampaging. He deserves $200 million if anybody was going to get it.
He's on tour with Corey Feldman.
sold 50 million records.
Limp Bizkit for a while, he like was really famous for like inciting riots inside of concerts, and he would like come out on stage. He's like, "Yeah, you know that other band? Well, fuck them!" And everyone's like, "What?"
Woodstock documentary. Check it out.
And like his lyrics were incredibly crass and rude, and you're just like, "I'm into this."
I don't even know who they are.
Oh, you'd remember some of the
Yeah,
Bizkit bands.
It's just crazy.
I don't know who they
Get it
are.
off of the nookie.
Yeah, I mean it was
And you
probably
can
around the
take that
same
cookie.
time as What the hell was the name of the other really big?
Korn.
Rage Against the Machine was big then. Korn was really big. It was like this era of just like punch
Rap
the
rock.
fucking speaker kind of music.
Was
What's
it
it called?
Linkin Park?
Linkin
They're
Park.
all
was
Back
big.
then at the same time?
The genre is called new metal
Hey, Garrett, was Metallica before or after these guys?
Metallica was
Yes.
before.
and after.
Oh yeah, I mean spanning, but they started well. I mean, 15.
Have you ever
years,
seen
so-
that concert of Metallica holding the
Wonderful.
biggest rock concert in history
Moscow?
in Russia?
Yeah.
That if you wanted to get people ready to go fight the Goblin Horde or something like that, or aliens that landed, you just need to go back to that period of time and put like Metallica on the stage.
Was it immediately before they invaded Ukraine?
No, probably.
Because that could be, cause and
What
effect.
song did they play that makes people go crazy? They play it in
Enter the
baseball.
Sandman. Enter
What?
the Sandman.
Every time they send in a reliever in baseball, they just crank that.
That's not my
Yeah.
favorite one of their songs, but it's up there and it is very catchy. Like, it speaks to a wide audience.
I mean, dude, what is it? Metallica, Moscow, 1991. I mean, Jesus, Jiminy Cricket. Wait until they zoom out. Look at that.
Oh my
Like
God.
if you just said the aliens are behind you, go, they'd have no chance. They'd have no chance. Look at that
The
helicopter. over
concert
here.
that won the Cold War.
Yeah. God, dude, that
Okay,
is
here's a question, trivia question. Largest live concert in history in terms of number of people there.
oh, it's got to be the one with Freddie Mercury.
No,
Was he down in Brazil?
Live Aid?
no, what?
Live Aid was the one that Hunter's talking about.
No, this happened within the last 2 months.
Oh, was
Last
it
2
was
months?
it Lady Gaga down in Brazil?
Yeah, 2.1 million people.
That's bullshit.
God, that's a long line. I'm not going to wait
That's
now.
not even a concert. That's not even a concert. That's just a communal meetup.
It's a park.
Lady Gaga hasn't had the energy to play a concert like that since the early 2000s when she had like Alejandro and Poker Face.
I don't know,
But-
Hunter. There's a reason all those people showed up.
I get it. They probably didn't have anything else better to do. All right, let me figure out what this is going on. This is trippy. This is a conversation between some guy in Mexico and the United States. And supposedly, this is the difference between our two cultures. In the United States, everyone's focused on trying to have everything you could ever want inside your house. Have food brought to you, pool brought to you, comfort brought to you, everything. In Mexican culture, you're only supposed to sleep when you're at your house. And being that you guys almost never leave your house, between Dad and Garrett, you guys never leave the house.
What about when I play golf?
Okay, twice a week. Garrett, you've got no excuse. You never leave the house except for going to Dunkin' Donuts and coming back.
Gotta get that fresh air.
Rudy, same for you. Are you out of the house often or are you in the house? Indoor cat?
Alan's active.
I'm pretty out of the house. Yeah, I'm around. I make my
You're more-
rounds.
You're more Mr. Mexico.
Yeah.
Hunter's Mr. Mexico too in that regard, if this is true.
Yeah. Okay. I got some.
Was that
more-
even a true or not, or was that just like
I guess it was
What was
just an
that?
interesting take. It was an interesting take. This is a
Okay.
true or not one. Okay. Why am I screwing this? What's this guy's name?
Larry King?
Baxter? No, what's the name of the guy who's being interviewed right now? He's famous. He was in Broken Arrow, I think.
he wasn't a Broken Arrow? That's not Christian Slater. You're
What is it?
confusing him
No,
with Christian
that's not
Slater.
Chris. It's the forehead is why you're confusing them.
Yeah. What's his name?
Remember, he's in True Lies. He's the
Oh,
yeah. The
yes.
guy who was hooking up the mom.
yeah.
He's a great
He is a
actor.
great. His name's right.
His
on the tip of my
name
tongue.
is
Can somebody
Bill
call
Paxton.
Cole Paxton? Chris
Yeah.
Paxton?
Bill Paxton.
Bill
Bill
He
Paxton.
just died.
Shit.
Didn't he just die?
He's
Yeah, he died.
dead.
I think
Yeah,
he did.
2017.
That was sad.
Okay,
He died
so-
young.
So he was in what is it called?
Titanic. He played the
Titanic.
the guy, the captain of the exploration ship.
And supposedly somebody dosed the clam chowder while they were on set with PCP. And they had like over 100+ people from the cast have to go to the hospital. And supposedly he went into the hospital and was tripping out, and he decided to leave the hospital and just go down to the beach and drink beer. That's what sobered him up.
Could it have been bad clams?
No, supposedly they
According
were
to
really
Variety-
on PCP.
According to Variety, the Titanic crew recalls the night the set got drugged with PCP from spiked chowder. Grips are doing the wheelies in wheelchairs, whatever that means. But the answer to this is I don't know how many people went to the hospital, but this took place.
True.
All right.
We're going to vote true.
It says here that Paxton did eat the soup.
All right, this one's cool.
Leonardo did not.
This is just really a question and a true or not kind of thing. Supposedly, Nadine Vajuar, with zero flying experience, became a licensed helicopter pilot to break her husband out of prison. So her husband got in prison. She just flew to the freaking prison and picked her husband up. First of all, is it true or not? Second of all, do you guys think your wives would do that for you?
What's his name? What's the person's name?
Her name's Nadine Valjor.
I think it's true, but my wife is not doing that, and Garrett's wife is not doing that either.
Yeah, I would give the same answer. I don't know. I feel like Andrea would
No.
would bail you out. Jackie
No.
would not bail me out.
I mean, Andrea might try to bail me out. She's not flying a helicopter into the prison yard.
No, that's what I meant. Sorry, I meant that in like the
It's
cap.
not in the
of
bingo
the-
card, man. That one's not happening to us.
It looks like this actually did happen in 1986.
That's right, boys. If anybody's listening to this and your wife's not willing to do that for you, leave.
That's true love.
That is true love. Okay, we're moving on. So this one's pretty crazy. This woman right here, she recorded everything on TV with multiple VHS sets, basically for 10 years straight. And she was able to record everything that happened on the news because she didn't want people to manipulate and change what was happening in history, and she wanted to have complete documentation of it. So she has this library of 8 tapes going at the same time for 30 years straight, 365 days a year. And now supposedly they're uploading all the videos up onto YouTube so the world can see what really happened in history.
And what really happened?
Well, I mean, just, kind of what we were just saying about the Mandela effect. Like, if you don't have the actual assets, you can't tell if things were changed. So, I don't know. Dad, did you look into this at all?
Well, no, but I don't understand what's strange about it.
Yeah, this is true, apparently.
But I'm just saying
What's
why.
strange about it? What are you fucking talking about? Have you ever recorded anything on a VHS, let alone 30 years?
You recorded 70,000 hours of TV.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're sort of
70,000 hours.
it's not a big deal.
Yeah, people do nutty stuff all the time. This is like a
I think it's
pretty
kind of a
plausible,
big
huh?
deal. I think you guys got to understand that something will happen, and then the news is wrong about things all the time. All the time.
Well, so
And
she
then-
has a list of things that you can listen to that are wrong.
Yeah, but it's kind of important when all of a sudden, like, let's just say we talked about COVID earlier. Let's just say we had recorded every single thing that happened during COVID. During all that time, all the news is coming out, and we had this maybe 3-year period of everything documented perfectly. And we could go back to any given date, any given time, any given region. And then all of a sudden, let's say in 2050, a very similar thing happens. And they're kind of coming back as a cross-reference to what happened during 2020. And they're like, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And we go back to the tapes, and we're like, wait a second, that didn't really happen that way. You know what I mean? You'd be like,
there's
okay,
enough
wait a second.
I think there's enough research done on these cataclysmic events that you don't have to go back and look at TV videotapes.
Well, this was especially during a period of time where there wasn't a lot of research that was available. Like, you had to go into a library and grab a textbook that was in some dusty corner, and it only came with one perspective. And the likelihood that you'd be able to borrow that book, keep that book, whatever, you're limited back then, especially back then. We're now in the golden era of information. We've been literally checking things at all times. Back then, there was no information whatsoever other than what came out of a box on the wall or a library.
I'm happy for her.
Because you guys don't find this as interesting as I do. Fine.
No, we just believe it completely.
Yeah.
So
Definitely
it
happened.
is. I'm sure there's like a lot of interesting stuff on these tapes.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll end on a couple things here. Let me just check in here. Okay, well, Sigmund Freud. Supposedly Sigmund Freud liked cocaine so much that he would give it to all of his friends and family as gifts.
Yes.
In 1880, Freud became intrigued with a little-known drug being used as a German military doctor revived fatigued soldiers, known as cocaine.
Yes. It almost
pretty-
ruined his life. He was a cocaine addict for a while, but cocaine was used in medicine back then. Cocaine was not illegal.
I mean, Freud was pretty badass. So you're saying cocaine was a problem or a solution?
Freud had a problem with cocaine, but Freud did take cocaine.
Just saying, pretty cool.
I don't know if he gave it to his family and friends, but it's not.
I think he suggested to his friends that it was, it cured what ailed them.
I think David gives
I want to
cocaine
finish.
to his friends too.
I want to end on this. This guy right here named Yuri supposedly was the person who was able to transcribe what was going on in hieroglyphics over into languages that we could understand. And supposedly the person that was the inspiration for figuring out how to break this down was actually his cat, because his cat was so peculiar at looking at things and understanding things that it just changed his reference of applying his understanding to transcribing. And he was in love with this cat. And every single time he became very famous globally. And anytime he was contacted by a journalist, he always tried to take a picture of him alongside of his cat. And supposedly they edited his cat out of everything. And I guess, the dude basically thanks all of his research and abilities to his cat. Is that true?
No. He was a brilliant man. He was one of the most brilliant men of his generation, famous astrophysicist, but there's no evidence that the cat was involved in any way.
But that's my point.
Does
They
he
wouldn't.
think the cat was involved? Would he say that?
That's what I'm saying. So that's the point, is supposedly this cat was there the whole time. And if you look through this thing, they kind of cut the cat out of pictures, everything. So they didn't want people to know about this cat. And if you look at a lot of these things of just like ancient civilizations, cats were involved.
An alternative version of this is it made him look crazy. And so they were like, we need this guy, but let's cut the cat out.
I mean, Sigmund Freud was addicted to cocaine. This guy liked his cat. I mean,
No, I didn't like him. No. Let's make this clear. We're saying that the cat was a genius, that it was like a godlike animal that gave him information that made him one of the most brilliant people in the world. This is not like he's got a house cat that follows him around. The claim here is insane.
all right, everybody thinks this is not true.
Well, I could believe that he believed that. But I would probably leave it there.
Rudy?
So he would list his cat as a co-author on his work.
Yep.
Like he's in there working on his hieroglyphics and his cat's hanging out because it's a cat. And he's like, oh, the cat helped me with this. And so he would always hold the cat in pictures. And they were like, no, this is stupid. Get rid of your cat. And I think that's how this kind of kept going.
Did the
Like,
cat
people started
exist
believing
or
his
not?
cat did actually. I don't think the cat actually did anything except sit in the room with him.
That might be enough.
I don't think this guy with the hair is right.
So we're going to go with somewhat true.
All right.
No,
Caveat.
no, absolutely false.
Yeah.
Well,
guy
it seems
wrote
like
more
everything
about it.
short of the cat actually doing the work is true.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's the part that's unusual. The cat doing hieroglyphics. The rest of it is just the cat was in a room with a guy. Totally believable.
Okay, what do we got?
Well, do you guys want to talk about bees? Do you guys want to talk about a veteran that was killed around Princess Diana? Do you
That's
guys
an
want to talk
story, because that's a very interesting story.
this one?
The one about the veteran.
All right, what
Well,
we got?
Supposedly this was the guy who was carrying Princess Diana's coffin, and I don't know why, but after being like kind of a famous like a famous soldier involved in multiple things that were kind of in the public eye, they let him freeze to death.
Wait, hold on. What does sleeping rough mean?
They made him sleep outside without a sleeping bag, and he froze
Something
to
to do with
death.
cold weather, seems like.
Yeah, rest in peace. His name was Malcolm Livingston.
I don't think there's anything unusual about this other than the guy shouldn't have been sleeping outside.
But I mean, I guess what's the idea here, that they tried to like kill him, or that he
I
was
don't
like
know.
singled out?
It was kind of a peculiar story that I found at like not being able to sleep at like 2 a.m. and I was like, we should figure this out. And then I passed through it. There's not a ton of depth other than the fact that he was like a publicly known soldier that was ended up.
Here you go. RAF veteran who was pallbearer for Princess Diana before becoming a Queen's footman died from hypothermia after an administrative error left him without emergency accommodations.
Shit. Guys, I just recognized I got to leave.
All right. Have
All
fun.
right. Well, this is fun. I'm glad we sorted through so much of this truth.
I'm so sorry, guys, that I ended up realizing that we blasted through 60 minutes, which is great. We didn't even skip a beat, which is amazing. Anybody who tuned in, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to do this again. Rudy, you're going to come back again because I'm going to get more weird things for you specifically. Dad, thanks for coming. Garrett, thanks for coming. Anything you guys got to say before we go?
Yes, I'd like you to send me that intro with the numbers so I can use it.
Done. All right. Love you guys. I'm over and out.
Bye.
See ya.